Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Janani. Today I'm going to show you guys how I made these yummy watermelon earrings. This is the color that's going to be my background clay. And with these colors, I'm going to be making a cane for my watermelons. I began by rolling the pink clay into a log shape. This is going to be the core of the watermelon cane. Then I ran the white clay in my pasta machine on the setting number 7. I wrapped this white clay around the pink clay and trimmed the excess. And I did the same thing with my yellow clay and the light green clay. And finally, when I ran the dark green clay through my pasta machine, I used setting number 5 instead of setting number 7 and wrapped it around my core as well. And then I started reducing my cane. I reduced my cane from the middle out to avoid any distortions. And when it reached my desired size, I cut the sides off. To make it easier for me to cut slices off of this cane, I put it in the freezer for about 20 minutes. Leaving the cane inside the freezer made it really easy for me to cut slices. I cut several slices of this cane that is about 1 millimeter thickness. I cut some of these slices into halves and some of them into quarters. Make sure you check out the description box. All the tools and supplies I used in this tutorial will be listed down there. Then I began placing these pieces throughout the background sheet of clay. I made sure to have a very random pattern and load the whole sheet with watermelon pieces. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Handmade. Over there, I'll always have polls so you guys can decide what tutorials comes next. And if I felt like some of the places are empty, I moved little pieces around and then put more watermelon pieces in there. Since it will look very odd on the earrings to have big empty spaces, I made sure that there are only tiny empty spaces. Next, I used the toothbrush to give some texture to the watermelon pieces. I only textured the pink part of the watermelon. Now to add the seeds of the watermelon, I'll be using this acrylic paint and a needle tool. To paint the seed, I put a little dot of black clay and dragged it slightly. The great thing about using acrylic paint is it's so easy to clean up when you make a mistake. A little bit of rubbing alcohol and a cotton bud will do the trick. I let the paint dry about 10 minutes, then I moved on to cutting the shapes for my earrings. Like always, I'm using my trusty cookie cutters to cut the shapes for my earrings. Most of the time, I don't have any idea when I'm cutting my pieces. I just cut some shapes and then decide what kind of styles I'm going for. And I'm using some black clay as a contrasting color to cut some of my other pieces. After everything is cut, I bake my pieces in the oven for about 1 hour in 225 Fahrenheit. I like to keep a low temperature and a longer time since my oven is really old. To find your ideal temperature and time, I recommend you bake a couple samples. And when my pieces are baked and cooled down, I move on to sanding. Like always, I'm gonna be using my nail sander that is actually meant for nails but works really well with these polymer clay earrings. And I'm using the wet sanding method. To drill the holes for the jump rings, I'll be using this attachment. I think creating the holes this way is much more neater than creating them before baking. To finish my earrings, I'll be using this Sculpey gloss glaze. I'm using a soft brush and a needle tool to hold my pieces in place. For polymer clay, adding a finishing or a varnish is not necessary. But since I use some acrylic paint on this project, I do need to finish it off. After the gloss glaze is nice and dried, I moved on to adding jump rings. In this project, I'm using 5mm jump rings. I'm using Loctite super glue to add my earring bags. To make sure these earring posts stick well, I leave them without handling for at least 24 hours. If these earring posts have a hard time sticking to the surface, I would scratch the surface a little bit and then add the glue and the earring post. And that is the end of this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really loved how they turned out. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Handmade and subscribe and like. I'll see you in the next tutorial.